Alright, good day everyone and welcome back to Rogue Trader. I apologise for the harsh cut into this episode. I was exploring a number of planets on the way to Kiava Gamma and unfortunately, well let's just say the recording didn't make it. So we're cutting in where it does resume, exploring a couple of planets, about to encounter an interesting artifact and also a Drakari flotilla. Enjoy! Okay, exploring planetoids in the new system, and we've encountered a giant mirror lying right in the center of a huge crater. A completely ordinary mirror in a frame by all appearances in pristine conditions. And so you know that there is only one reasonable response to finding a mirror on a crater on a deserted barren planetoid, and that is to kill it with fire. The crew blasts the crater, raising a cloud of dust that blocks the auger array, confirming the mirror's destruction is impossible, but it could not have survived that powerful explosion. Definitely not. Can we not just wait and check? But yeah, okay. Destroyed. Unknown ships? To do that, we probably want to upgrade our ship first. All of this is good stuff. This is the problem. Everything is now good. Shallow jump is good. And then I like expeditious reload. Focused efforts I'm not too worried about. I like strafe. Vulnerability scan is one I have an upgrade for. This is a close range. This is a close range attack that expends 25% of our shields, but knocks out hollow fields, negatively impacts Xenos technology. I think this is pretty good. Vulnerability scan is also good, but let's grab those. And I believe... Okay, so let's hull integrity repair. Because I'm also focusing on abilities that I have crew who know how to use them. Because that lets you get the upgraded version. So new heading. This changes the cooldown from 1 to 2 rounds and costs 100 scrap. This costs 100 scrap to take the... Oh great, this takes it to you don't need to, it just knocks their shields out or hollow fields out. That's great. It's a fantastic upgrade. And this is the shallow jump upgrade, which is Heinrich's natural. Range 5 cells cools down 1 to 3. Range 5 cell cooldown 1 to 3. When the flagship jumps through the unit, the unit suffers 25 to 35% of its maximum hull integrity as warp damage. Okay, so this gives it damage. Now, how much scrap do we have? 600. So we can afford to do these upgrades. So let's lower the cooldown on new heading. And then we have 200 allocated for that. And let's, you know what, let's drop a save and go straight in against these. I'm guessing these are Drakari. Okay, targets are a Sigil class destroyer, Shadowland Scythe Twin Link Battery, and a Talon class frigate with... Okay, the Talon is torpedoes only. I'm guessing you're going to swing.
Torpedoes locked.
Torpedoes in the void. Dorsals, fire. Okay, so this thing is easier to hit if we're close. Close I can do. With some weapons at least. Starboard macros, fire. I'm going to guess that they're not going to detonate their torps this close. And I'm going to save shallow jump, and I'm not going to shield pulse because it'll disrupt my voids. I don't know what it will do to the Xenos technology, but I have to make sure I use it once this battle so we can upgrade it afterwards. End turn. I want to basically destroy the torpedo or cripple the torpedo ship before the Sigil, which actually has guns, can come up and engage us. You kamikazing my torpedoes? You are. Alright, I'm okay with that. Oh, I think we can destroy you, mate. Abelard, come to new heading. Because we can close right in and then make a turn. Because that's within 2.
Onward.
And then we can make a turn.
Fire the lance batteries.
Because their defences do not work well at longer distances. At short distances, rather.
The time has come.
Okay, put our 4 shields forward. Good engagement, drop a save, just in case I do something stupid, like forget to use my abilities. Let's go. Sigil, 1v1 me, bro. I wouldn't have come that close, brother. That's Drakari. They are speed, firepower, not so much survivability. But that's okay. I think the answer is a swing run. I think we just shield disrupt them. Okay, no, target cell is inaccessible. Alright, here's what we're going to do. Swing run.
Set the course. Unleash our vengeful salvo.
Come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. Gotcha.
Bleed them.
Another victory of 2 great dynasties, Lord Captain.
Alright everyone, welcome back to Rogue Trader. Now, off screen, I was intending to do a little bit of colony development, resource management, running around doing a couple of minor quests before we head off to Kiava Gamma, which is the next story mission. But before we do so, I ran into an event at one of my planets, and thinking it was relatively minor, I was like, I'll play through this, and then I realized, no, it is not minor at all, and I'm going to need to record this. So, in our colony of Foulstone, we have an event that requires the Lord Captain's attention. A troop of well-armed people has landed in the colony and started plundering, acting like they are in charge. The report suggests that these pirate cutthroats are privateers, the likes of whom flock towards the banner of Caligos Winterscale, seeking his favour. So, there are some pirates / privateers that are raiding our colony at Foulstone, which as you can see is building up nicely, leading to a boost in resources across our empire, even though we only have 2 planets at the moment. And I was like, okay, I gotta beat these guys up. Because the alternative is to pay profit factor, and I'm like, nah. So if you enter battle, me thinking I'm going to encounter, you know, maybe 1 or 2 frigates, something that's reasonable to engage, like most of the void combats that I've been fighting off screen that are relatively minor. I want to be including void combats, but only those that are actually challenging. Anything that is seal clubbing, just like with ground combats, I kind of want to skip past. This is a long game. Here we go. Falchion-class frigate, Dictator-class cruiser. With 160 armor all round, 240 hull integrity, 2 macros, and a lance battery doing 84 to 98 damage on each flank, plus a craft bay carrying Fury interceptors. And against this, we have 1 super sword boy. Now, you look at this and you're like, this is impossible to win. And indeed, if you just go straight in, it would be impossible to win. However, this is why I wanted to talk about it, but not necessarily show the entire thing, is I noticed an issue. For the opponents, that is, not for us. And that is, they are all very, very slow, at least compared to the drop bear. And so, if you dump torpedoes and then run outside of the distance that they can attack us at, especially now that I now have shallow jump, which enables me to add an extra 5 cells every 1 to 3 turns, they can never catch you. And because we have an infinite supply of torpedoes, and I'm pretty good at flying torpedoes, we can dance around them. It's not like the Eldari or Drakari, where they have so much more maneuverability than you that you actually have to go in, you have to take the fight, you have to be smart about it. Here, it's really just about patience. Because it's possible to drag the falchions far away from the dictator, engage them with torpedoes, and then make for a disengagement, followed by a warp jump, so something like this. We'd engage with prows or dorsals, I presume, this turn.
The time has come.
And while you do take some damage in the initial exchange, you can put a lot of distance between you and them pretty easily. And so through the power of time skips into turn 20 of this particular engagement, I believe it will be time to engage and destroy this falchion.
Lay in the course.
While overshooting its torpedoes,
This
and then going
one's
to
got
deal with the much, much slower dictator.
No mercy for the enemies of humanity.
Set the course.
Nicely done. And I might want to jump here just so these torpedoes don't proximity detonate, but that's what that button there is for. And to finish this thing in style, I think we're going to use Heinrich's upgraded shallow jump ability, which does 25 to 35% of a target's maximum hull damage when you jump through it. I've used this a couple of times. It does damage you a bit, but it hurts.
Where we train, the iceberg
Your
will
courage.
fall.
Fit for the fun Lancius annals.
So that gives us 1500 experience, 16 ancient energy cores, 57 ancient machinery, and 245 scrap. Not bad. This all cashes in for a ludicrous amount of Navy experience, allowing us to cut forward to the drop bear of today. This is a level 4 vessel that has gone through some serious upgrades. It now has a 12-speed strong acceleration and braking engine, a shield that does 120 points for each sector, with spare versions that I've stored that have less protection but double protection against certain types, for example either blast or kinetic, an Auspex which is 90% hit chance, 5% critical, 9 points of armor protection on the 4 of the vessel and 5 on each side, so we are really strong approaching with the armored prow from the front. I've given it a couple of hull upgrades, so I'm at 176. My prow is now a 5-tube plasma torpedo tube. My other prow weapon is a medium range lance with a wide firing arc, so more damage, less range, but more firing arc, which is my preference. A medium range in the dorsal slot, again a lance, and then the 2 macro batteries. One is a short range 4-shot times 21, one is a long range 3-shot by 21, so which side we put towards the enemy basically depends on what range we need, and whether we're trading off between range and DPS. That means as we enter the system that includes Kiava Gamma, we should be better set up for any potential void combat than we were before, by a long, long margin. We've also done a lot of building in our colonies, building up a lot of resources, doing a couple of events, so we're at 55 profit factor and have a lot more resources coming in. But I want to secure another colony first before we go and talk about all the building strategy for the various colonies. So let us enter the system that includes Kiava Gamma. Okay, the Voxmaster is saying, Lord Captain, according to telemetry, we are in the system of Kiava Gamma, the main industrial world of the von Valancius dynasty. However, our astropaths report that attempts to contact Governor Gaprak have been unsuccessful. Now, here's a note. Before I came here, I did talk to those refugees in the Footfall docks who came from Kiava Gamma, and they pointed out a specific risk of something called scrap code, which is where someone sends a signal into a mechanism or a machine spirit in order to cause it to melt down. Basically, it's a computer virus broadcast, gets into a system and causes lots and lots of problems. So we've got to be aware that that might happen here. But wait, Voxmaster Victor says, Lord Captain, in your report, Kiava Gamma is sending a request to exchange data. Should we accept it? And obviously, given what I just told you, this is again Chekhov's gun. If someone highlights the risk of scrap code, it's because you're about to encounter scrap code in an upcoming storyline. So yes, can you please send them my Medicare number, my birth date, my address, my banking details, the login, my mother's maiden name, the name of my first pet, and sign me up for their newsletter while I'm at it. Ignore the transmission, please. As you command, Lord Captain. For several minutes nothing happens. Lord Captain, we ignored the transmissions as you ordered, but the Vox system has detected a dozen more incoming requests. Their number is growing every second, and each one is becoming more insistent and stronger. I think I hear something. Suddenly a deafening screech erupts from the bridge's Vox system. You hear violent tirades of garbled binary code like the low chuckles of machinery. Lord Captain, interference detected in the compartment's Vox system. It looks like the bridge is cut off from the rest of the voyage. Oh, when we have an event. Okay. The void ship's bridge. Sounds of working cogitators and officers' footsteps. Everyday sin is interrupted by an ear-splitting beeping sound, followed by the lights going out. In the dim glow of candles and emergency lights, one of the officers in frame cries out, another falls to her knees, clutching her head. The doors are locked, we've lost contact with all compartments. One of the bridge officers turns to the throne. Lord Captain, the Vox stations are malfunctioning and overloading the system. None of the outgoing transmissions are getting through. The incoming ones that do make it are distorted beyond interpretation. Okay, so we've got a series of events, and we are almost certainly under a scrap code attack. Okay, so we can do one of two things. We can decipher the incoming Vox transmissions at all cost. That seems like a bad idea when you're under scrap code attack. Or we can continue sending orders from the bridge and request status updates from other compartments. Okay, let's do that, because decoding scrap code is a terrible idea. Lord Captain, our transmissions are being distorted as we speak. Depressurize the lower bays, execute adepts in the machine cult, disable life support systems. If even one of these commands gets out. Okay, so basically the scrap code is trying to take control of the bridge Vox system to send fake orders across the ship. Okay, so we can either lock down our system with tech use, or we can assign officers to all control systems to execute manual transmission override and send orders to the other compartments on paper. Okay, so we're going to turn off the communication system and basically runners between the various systems. And this is Persuasion 150. Or we could destroy the ship's Vox system, but we're going to use the manual option. We're going to go low tech. The road trader gathers the senior officers and assigns each one to the ship's control systems. I assume part of them. One monitors the comm line, another prepares written orders. The Voxmaster's unit sets up an internal communication system via comm beads, which are point-to-point communicators. The crew's efforts are expedient and well coordinated. Within moments, server skulls carrying instructions from the Lord Captain are diving into the ventilation shafts and vanishing into the gloom. Yes, okay. So we've shut down the central system and we have gone local and low-tech. Point-to-point, relay, Pony Express. Scrap code. The voice belongs to the on-deck engine seer who has turned to the Lord Captain from his station. Yes, I heard about this from the refugees beforehand. I'm not sure why I didn't tell you, apparently. We've been attacked with scrap code, a tech heresy designed to corrupt machines. Okay, so one of the officers is telling us that there is a backup system that could get around the Vox barrier. I'm not sure this is urgent, considering I'm using relayed orders at the moment. But apparently in the atrium leading to the bridge there is a terminal for an isolated system. A loud pop, a loud pop, the pipes over the officer's head burst, and in a blast of hot air, flings the Voidborn away from the Lord Captain. His body slams straight and through a cogitator panel. The pit recorder flogs over, the Vox picking up the crackling electricity and death cry. Gas on the bridge, a junior attendant shouts and instantly doubles over, inhaling the poison air. Command the crew to carry on their duties to the last, run for his life, or gives the order to evacuate the damn bridge. I don't want all my bridge crew being poisoned. The rogue trader personally oversees the evacuation, bring the plasma cutters, get the wounded to the exit. The officers repeat his orders, then when the servo skull following the rogue trader reaches the doors, they fall to the plasma cutters and crumble outwards. The rogue trader is the last to leave the bridge. Damn straight. The rogue trader takes a few steps down the corridor in a coughing fit, undoubtedly a result of spending too long on the bridge. But I needed to get my crew out. Splashes of crimson stain his clothes and floor, the Lord Captain shakes his head. The father, okay. Alright, so I'm taken to the Medicaid deck, where I'm instantly surrounded by doctors. The crowd is so dense, servo skulls anxiously circle above them. A number of scared junior officers promptly surround the bed. The ship is suffering devastating losses. The interbay comms are still offline. The crew is terrified, Lord Captain. We are going to give them an inspiring speech. The Lord Captain props himself up and taking breaths through a mask now and then begins to speak of human tenacity, of the trials that the crew has already overcome and those that still lie ahead in their struggle to save the ship. With each word, the people around the bed straighten up and their gazes are filled with awe and faith. The officers salute and the Lord Captain leaves the Medicaid deck in complete competence, ready to do their duty. Okay, so basically I give them a rousing speech, they go off to do their job, and then I get to return to the bridge. The crisis has passed, and although wounded and crippled, the ship is nevertheless returning to normal operation. Life on the bridge is as bustling as ever, even though people are surrounded by destruction. Senior officers have the situation under control, people have been organised. The emergency crew have already finished repairing the pipes, technomats are setting up cogitators and consoles. Healers are bagging the few corpses, here and there, and examining the wounded. Victus says, "Praise the Emperor, you're in one piece, Lord Captain. The situation on the bridge is satisfactory. I was just in the middle of setting up comm channels. Soon all Voxcasters will be fully operational." Junior officer says, "Here are the reports, Lord Captain. If you find yourself able to return to your station, I can immediately give you a rundown of the state of affairs at the ship." End bit of recording. Situation has been brought under control, more or less. It will take some time to eliminate the consequences of the attack completely, but the vessel is capable of motion. May even be able to conduct a warp jump if you feel we should leave the system. Allow me to bring you up to date. Fortunately, the bridge suffered only minor losses, I presume because I evacuated early. The reports mention only a few casualties that have been replaced. Kiava Gamma went silent after transmitting the harmful signal, and I'll refrain from sending inquiries to avoid a second attack. I'm afraid we've exhausted our options for remote analysis. More information can only be obtained by closing the distance or sending an away party to the planet's surface. Heinrich says, "The time has come to remind you of our agreement, Perun. I must be present in your entourage during your expedition to Kiava Gamma. I am counting on your cooperation." Oh great, and Kiava Gamma is surrounded by Chaos ships. Well, that's a good sign. That said, no hull damage, everything seems to be in good order. So we can scan these two minor planets, and then we need to go break the blockade of our industrial world, I think. Because I don't like this. I don't want Chaos ships around my world. Makes it hard for them to export my money. Okay, so let's take our new ship, complete with a series of upgrades, which I don't think I talked through. So we now have arc augury and come to new heading. We have the short jump and the shield reinforcement, the shield pulse. And we have Expedia's Reload, which reloads all macro cannons that were fired during the acceleration phase at the end of our turn. But since I've upgraded it, as I'll show you in a moment, it also reloads Lancers, and we have our ultimate ability, Boarding Party, which is tied to Perun's Persuasion skill, and allows us to launch boarding parties when we activate it, sort of like a momentum ability. Starting internal fires, causing engine damage, potentially crippling a ship for 1 round, can be used once per round, and the duration is +1 for every 10 points of persuasion skill. So if I activate this, I should be able to use this every turn for an entire protracted fight at a 20 cell range, which is pretty damn good. Our officers, Perun is Supreme Commander with 150 persuasion, Our Master Cannoneer is Argenta, 105 demolition with her Expeditious reload upgraded so that it reloads lances as well, albeit at an accuracy penalty. Pascal and our 130 tech use shield pulsar, which means that we can now use the shield pulse to push away opposing shields or disable hollow fields or shadow fields without actually losing any shield ourselves. The upgraded new heading I had before, which just simply reduces cooldown. Heinrich's upgraded shallow jump is what leads it to cause 25 to 35% hull integrity damage when warping through a target. And Cassia is our Master of Etherics, but she doesn't have her ability yet, which is Identify Vulnerability. I'll get that eventually. Our ship is upgraded, our crew is ready. Let's break this blockade.
I lift up my voice in prayer for this vessel and its hollowed guns.
Thank you, Argenta. Let's see what we've got here. No portrait for Perun, unfortunate. Infidel, Iconoclast, Iconoclast. And here we are, Infidel, Iconoclast. Okay, so we've got some Infidel class raiders acting as destroyer leaders for teams of Iconoclast destroyers. The Infidel is not well protected, not particularly rugged in terms of its hull. Okay, but it's going to be mobile and well armed. Very different from the force we just fought before. Torpedoes, melter cannons, so a long range weapon, short range but damaging melter cannons, and then the ability to do a short range void jump within 20 tiles. Jeez, okay. That will be annoying to deal with. That said, I reckon if we try and engage this let's engage the closest squadron first and try and do as much damage to them as possible before Squadron 2 is able to realistically engage, at least with their melter cannons, which is where a lot of their damage is going to come from. Assuming, of course, I can evade torpedoes, but that's what I'm going to keep shallow jump for in reserve most of this fight, basically, as an emergency torpedo avoidance system. Okay, so here's the plan. If we go to here, and then use Arc Augury, we should be able to double engage the Infidel, while also getting torpedoes out, which we will do.
Annihilate them!
Which these should be able to successfully engage one of these Iconoclasts next turn, I suspect. Then we'll fire our dorsals.
Bleed them.
Okay, almost punched through their voids. Sunhammer.
This one's going to die.
One of the coolest weapons names I've seen. Not a kill, but I think we should be able to destroy that Infidel next turn. We're about to take a lot of hit in our forward voids now, but remember they are our strongest arc by far. We've got more armor up front too as well. We have 9 deflection on our forward arc, 5 everywhere else. Okay, and the southern squadron's going to take a while to arrive, but they'll be able to engage with lancers relatively soon. Hopefully these plasmas can hit this Ico. Oh man, you're dead. You've kept your two void facing towards me. You are very dead, my friend. I would have used your void slit maneuver. Okay, the torps did not score. Actually, no, we might be able to proxy detonate here. Almost lethal, but that's okay. Let's engage with... Alright, I think, well, we can get 2 kills this turn.
Leave their hull strewn across the stars!
Not quite, that's okay. We'll have to commit the dorsals, which I did not want to do.
Bleed them!
That'll be a kill. And then the Sunhammer should punch through those voids.
This one's going down!
And then port comes
Another
fire.
salvo!
and we're still in the acceleration phase. So when we get to here, we could do a rapid reload, which would, I believe, put our dorsals and ports back in the engagement again, which we might want to do, actually.
Lay in the course.
I did not mean to hit new heading there, but that's okay. So if we now then push this shield pulse C, so swaps the two shields, so we're now got the weak facing us, slam the expeditious reload button.
Fire right now!
We get another volley.
Fire the last batteries!
Would have been really cool if it had pulled it off, but that's okay. Just means we're going to get shot at next turn. Pleasant as always. I don't think we're going to need a huge amount of range next turn. So I think... Mouse glitching again. I think we go restart shields while we're in this relatively safe environment, because we can kite away from them.
The void ship's shields are failing.
Yes, you knock down my voids, but you only do a little bit of hull damage, thankfully. And the others will not be able to take advantage of it this turn. Fantastic. I wonder if instead of doing the... If I just do this...
Bleed them!
Swing the ship around,
Onward!
because that removes that vulnerability.
Torpedoes locked!
Torpedoes out.
The time has come.
Alright, I'm happy with that. Cooldowns. Not going to have everything next turn, going to have some things. Yep, their torpedoes are out, but I'm not particularly worried. Slam. And once again, the goal here is to do as much as possible with the acceleration phase engagement.
Macro cannons, volley!
Kill.
Lay in the course.
Once again, we use Arc Augury to get the Sun Hammer engaging.
Fire the launch batteries.
Because if we fire it in the opening phase, we can also
This
fire it
one's
again
going
at the
down.
end. Which turns out we don't need. So now the only problem is torpedoes.
The time has come.
Corrupted melter torpedoes. Well, those won't get to engage us, because they're now behind us. Run, run, run away bravely until they burn out, and this fight should be over. GG, no re. Oh, there, one more turn
Lay
to
in
burn.
the course.
Come on, I want to see the dramatic moment at the ending. There we go.
Victory is ours.
Alright, so we get another level. We get 9 Unholy Amulets, and we have a scanner which gives us a reduced hit chance but more critical chance. Not sure I'll take that, but I will take the scrap and the ship upgrade. And hopefully that means we have now broken the blockade of the planet and can land successfully. Looks like it has. Let's go to repair and see what upgrades we might have available before we land. Okay, so here I'm going to grab Focused Efforts, which is Perun's ability, which allows another station to use both of its abilities in one turn. At the moment, I think this is only really relevant for Argenta's post, allowing her to use both Torpedo Control and Expeditious Reload at the same time. And then it says if one or both abilities are on cooldown, cooldown is reduced by -1. That's also really useful. And then we get a Flagship Development. So there are all sorts of useful things here, like restarting, not giving you a firing range penalty, improved initiative order so that you go first more of the time in combat, which is very useful. I'm going to open with rugged repair. Repairing the void ship requires 50% less scrap, because scrap I don't believe is a renewable resource, and most of what we're using it for is to repair the ship. So I'll take rugged repair. And then Perun can, he has to use the ability in combat, and then we can upgrade to focused efforts 2, which reduces its cooldown. Okay, so we go from 1 to 3 rounds at random to 1 to 2 rounds at random, which is a significant increase. Okay, awesome. I like this. I might quickly go give our factotum the scrap if there is enough of it to get additional points. There should be. Because that's 9 by 18%, and if I get any more cool upgrades I'll tell you, otherwise I'll go to Kiava Gamma. The answer was no, so we're going to Kiava Gamma. Begin scan. Manufactorum, let us land. Who is the landing team? So, the core team, Cassia Argenta, obviously in. Pascal, we're going to a forge world, not a forge world, we're going to a world with a manufacturing presence, so bringing Pascal seems like a no-brainer. We've talked about why we want to bring Jay. Normally it's a trade-off then between Abelard and Heinrichs, and Heinrichs is compulsory on this one, so we'll bring him down. Irelette, I don't see her relevance here. Juster is obviously phased out. Abelard, I don't think there's anyone for him to introduce us to in this context. I think Pascal will be doing the introductions because it'll be Mechanicus, plus Heinrichs is here. But Abelard will absolutely get a slot when we go to our capital world. I think that's where Abelard belongs. Okay, not small-scale facilities. Although I'm seeing lots more spikes than I would expect at a normal facility. Okay, here we are. Alright, well nothing looks destroyed at least. Crew is ready to deploy. I'll go through the upgrades and items that I have before we get into our first combat. Heinrichs, no solemn ceremony, no personal meeting with the Magi. I fear we are too late and we won't be dealing with clandestine heretics after all. Pascal, binaric arias of alarm stream out of Pascal's Vox synthesizer. You sense a call to the arms and a warning of danger. I'll tell him to remind me of the mission. He assumed he was going to be conducting an investigation to track down traces of the cult of the Final Dawn, but we can discard that plan now. Both the incident and the scrap code and the manner in which we were forced to land indicate the situation had taken a turn for the worse. Yeah, the fleet in orbit also was a pretty strong indication. Must use this opportunity to try and determine what the cult was doing on an industrial world and what specifically interests them in a planet full of sacred machines and serves the Messiah. Well, we encountered the Forge Fiend, which indicated they were building demon weapons, Heinrichs. Like, why do I need to... Sometimes I feel like I do his job better than he does. Like, we encountered the weapons that they are building on this planet. Maybe that's a thing. Any suggestion on how we proceed? To start, let's look around and find out why the arrival of Rogue Trader did not elicit the usual fuss. Because they're... I'm surprised it didn't elicit an ambush. I'm surprised we didn't roll in heavy with companies of armsmen and everything we could muster. Under cover of frickin' orbital macros if we needed to. I would not count on a warm welcome at this rate. Better to keep your weapon at the ready. We'll learn nothing for standing here. Let's go. Alright, quick rundown of the characters as they are now upgraded. I'll go over abilities in combat, but here are the changes in the items. Perun is basically unchanged. He is ever unchanging. He's just leveled up to the point where he now has Persuasion 160, because as one of his advancements I've took Advanced Skill Persuasion, so he rolls at 160 and he re-rolls if he fails once. I've now started spending more upgrades of people who are not the combat giants, which is Argenta and Cassia, spending more upgrades on skills, because I've noticed the checks getting more difficult, and so I figure at some point we should make the skill monkeys really good at what they do. Heinrichs has definitely undergone an upgrade. He's still in his Psychic Body Glove, but now he has the Tome of Excess for extra Law Warp check, the Knuckle Guard for extra weapon skill, and he's still using a Power Claymore as his melee weapon, and he's got his Sanctified Staff, which will show off in combat. His Psyker's Footwear means he gets 3% dodge until end of combat for every Psi power he uses. So after, 30 Psi powers, in fact, he starts at a base dodge of 100%. So he's already going to become pretty unhittable pretty quickly. The key, however, is this thing. The Eyes of Joyous. This was a reward for a project on one of my colonies from the Drusians. It's a unique helmet, and the option, there was a trade-off between doing this and another project, and I just slammed the button as soon as I could, as soon as I saw what this thing does. The wearer's Psi rating is increased by +1 against demons, so sometimes +1, sometimes not, and then +1 for each rank of dogmatic. And Heinrich's is 2 levels of dogmatic. So his Psi rating has gone from 2 to 4, which just dials up, and since a lot of abilities key off Psi rating, he is so much stronger than he used to be. We should get Psi rating 3 eventually as well. That'll push him to Psi rating 5. He's Psi rating 6 against demons in that scenario, and he's got a new ability unlocked, which means every time an ally uses a momentum ability, he gets +1 Psi rating until end of combat. So we scaled this dude really quickly. My idea is that the more members of the team are OP and can technically handle combat, the better, just in case something does happen to knock down Cassia or Argenta or both, and Heinrichs is now moving in that direction. Argenta's main things are equipment upgrades, and here the big ones are the ability Heavy Gunner, which reduces the cost of using heavy weapons by 1 AP, and also the fact that we got reputation with the Drusians, and so her bolter has been replaced by a Heavy Flamer. This does 18 to 26 damage and has both a single shot mode, for lack of a better term, which is a straight line shot, and also her massive area of effect. And this alternates with burst, which is different from area, so we can burst shot with the heavy bolter, or we can area or single with the heavy flamer. Gives us more flexibility, more damage output than the bolter that we were previously using. As you can see, 11 to 17 is less than 18 to 26 for the same AP costs. Other than that, we've still got her using the Blessed Bolter casing. We might want to swap that out for Focused Incense. She won't be doing many single shots with a bolter. In fact, I'll do that now. She's still got her Tactical Goggles. I thought about swapping it out with the Face of the Sovereign, which is +1 resolve per kill. But tell me, are the aesthetics on this so bad that it's worth taking a suboptimal choice? I mean, the Tactical Goggles are probably less powerful. 5% hit, 3% crit. Still very, very strong. This is probably better, but like, then she'd look like that all the time. And I wouldn't do that to any character on my team. So we'll leave those on for the moment while that is discussed. Her Righteous Fury Cape means that for every kill, she increases critical hit chance by 5% until the end of combat. She's got minus 50% recoil from her gloves, and whenever she raises momentum to, and this gives us 175 momentum, or lifts momentum to 175 every time she kills 5 or more enemies in one turn, which is something that will happen. She's got a Stimulant Injector, which is plus 9% critical hit chance in exchange for minus 10% wounds, and she's wearing a Needle Ring. The armor is plus 10 dodge, plus 10 agility. Cassia now has her Dark Visionary hood. So her willpower is 90 outside of combat, plus she does 15% extra damage with Psychic and Navigator powers at the expense of minus ballistic skill and weapon skill, but she's never using those anyway. She's carrying an awareness bonus, the Aquila Pendant, which is a plus 10 willpower bonus we've seen before. She's still holding her Bloodhound Staff, and other than that, she's pretty good. She's got a Chainsword and a Needle Pistol as a backup, because they sort of fit her. Well, the Needle Pistol fits the Navigator character, Chainsword not so much, but I don't think she will ever use them. The armor is the Headhunter Light Carapace, which gives her plus dodge based on her awareness. Her awareness is 125, so she's getting a lot of dodge. She's at 122% base. So, yeah, she's pretty hard to hit. Pascal's still mostly using his old kit, except for some bonus Medicae and tech use gear. He's got plus movement point boots, and other than that, still rocking most of the old kit, which is perfectly fine. Road Trader needs their Vox Skull, by the way. Jay also mostly unchanged. We've given the Common Law Imperium Commerce tab to her, because she's the one rolling the checks at the top of the game. But we wanted to leave some bonuses on Perun because he keys everyone else's hit point bonuses off his abilities. I think that is everyone. Alright, awesome. That's the team. New abilities we can go through in combat. Let's roll. First room, and we already have some corrupted servitors. Servitors before you appear as if they're performing some elaborate and confusing dance. The scene is complemented by a grating sound, dull clicks at the edge you're hearing. I'm guessing those are scrap code. Observe the servitor. Interesting. The number of high quality expensive augments in their body greatly exceeds basic standards. I'm going to avoid its touch, agility 20. Gently and swiftly you step away from the servitor. It stretches its hand as if trying to blindly touch you in the space where you had already left, and stills once more. Its brain is incapable of quickly processing changes in its surrounding. Find the source of the clicks. On the back of one of the servitors, a tumour oozing with murky ichor is growing straight through the augments. Relays coated in inflamed tissue are blocked. A mutation in a servitor. Tech priests typically reject the use of fluid or soft tissue in their constructs. Perhaps something has caused the aggressive growth, and quite recently. I'm guessing this is part of how they're being corrupted. We can try and shut this away using a Medicaid test. I think that's the best thing to do, even though it might spark combat. Yeah, we need to do this. Succeeded. Without much difficulty. I reckon it was with difficulty. It was a 61% chance. You cut the excess flesh from the mechanism. Liberator relay lets out a rapid burst of clicks. Then a spark flashes before your eyes, and something begins to hum in the servitor's flesh. Crew 24, second lane manufactorum. Commence your work. State your request. We can deactivate or follow default programming. Stay here.
I won't tolerate weakness.
Now let's go to the control panel. I don't want it going off and wandering off and being killed or re-corrupted. We'll investigate it later. Before use an ancient but wholly typical console. View the log. Millions of strings of records, raw materials, shipping, schedules. Manufactorum once operated like a gargantuan, well-oiled mechanism. The last record is from 2 months ago. Okay, so that's when things started to go awry. We can view the first log. Interesting. New protocols received at the Synod from the Great Fabricator Sensor have to be executed. He's the boss of the planet, I'm presuming. Despite those who shuddered at the thought of changing a standard procedure, embolden your hearts. Those whose inner weakness breeds errors, impersonal calculations, for the Fabricator Sensor is a conductor of the higher will and the wisest among us. Second log. The Fabricator Sensor unsealed the vaults of the sacred designs and committed those deemed redundant or heretical to purifying disposal. Today, dozens of standard procedures were lost to be replaced by new ones. But the databanks... Okay, the Fabricator Sensor will deliver to those who demonstrate the greatest devotion to serving the truth, but the databanks contain no notion of truth. Could there have been, may the all-knowing one, the gracious keeper, forgive me an error in the Fabricator Sensor's calculations, and he meant to say, serving the quest for... Okay, so the Fabricator Sensor has been corrupted, he's changing the way things are done, and as we all know, change is evil. Logic 20, in order to view the third log, succeeded. The instrumental terminals have been replaced, material delivery systems are being prepared for divine transformation. Execution of new procedure has been delayed. Summon our ranks who doubt the words of the Fabricator Sensor and his votaries. There are some who are not susceptible to the enhancement protocol, capitalization, that carries our tech comrades to enlightenment, okay, to corruption. Inaction is death, and I must be returning to our great... Man, we're going to need to purge this place. Praise be to the truth that will reveal the path to the knowledge shrouded in darkness. Step away from the cogitator. We have a massive chaos corruption problem. Are you surprised? Well, that's why we didn't get a good welcome. Okay, and we've got a tech priest with mechadrites running towards us. identification. The lumps protruding under the tech priest's bedraggled red robe hint at the mechanisms. Pascal says request denied, registering anomalous behaviour within the servant's organics and an invalid new sphere response. New sphere is like the network that the Mechanicus use. That big lore dump. If it becomes relevant, we can talk about it later. This unit is compromised. Examine the tech priest. Necrosis spreads out from the implants. Stench of rotten meat. Who are you? Magos Custos of the Machine Sanctum, Tier 2.0 identification. What is happening on this planet? Why is the government responding to the ship's hails? What are heretic ships doing in the system? Denied. The irregularity demands execution of protocol. I'll not be doing anything until I... Okay, I said I wanted to meet with the fabricator sensor, and he goes, stabby stab. And we've got servitors
Submit, and you'll die
corrupted
quickly.
Mechanicus.
I will take you down.
Corrupted Magos and Magos Heretic. Volatile servitors. What's the Magos Heretic got? Plasma pistol. Scrap code melee protocols. Reject the flesh 4. Wonder when Pascal gets more reject the flesh. Anyway, this should be an interesting chance to show off some of our new kit. In particular, Argenta might be able to show off some of her the new ability to switch between flame and heavy bolter. So let me just set up. Okay, the cheerleader squad is in place. Let's get going. Cassia,
I'm not
buff
accustomed
Argenta.
to being ordered
Argenta gets to
around.
open with 2 points. And I think there's no better way than to open with a heavy flamer area of effect. Nice, that takes us to 4 versatility and means that Wildfire is down to 2 AP. We can do better, but let's instantly go into Furious Recital, so just did a bunch of damage. Varun can likewise buff Argenta. And this time she's going to need a burst attack, which we will aim at the Magos Heretic, but will of course be blocked by his wall of servitors, but that's okay.
Doubt is for the weak. My Emperor!
Nice. Her next area of attack should take down that servitor. But, for the extra damage,
Nothing I can't
front
do.
line, kill zone stratagem. Overall stratagem. Nope, kill zone. Both Jay and Peru now get a stratagem at the start, randomly generated that costs 0 AP. We will slap down the extra damage and critical damage, because we're all about critical damage with Argenta.
Suits my purposes.
Put the back line on the rest of the team, like that. And throw Overwhelming on Argenta's area, since it's free, literally. Then run the buff cycle.
All too easy. Suits my purposes.
And this should now have a suitable effect. See, the hit chances are all up to 95%. I believe once you hit 95% chance to hit, your chance to hit rolls into critical chance, which means this should be glorious.
As the Emperor commands, I will strike as a prayer.
High momentum indeed, overwhelming stratagem. And Argenta gets a stack of versatility every time someone gives her an extra turn, which is why she's racking versatility up so quickly. We'll roll into steady superiority, which gives us the free attack,
I crave.
and point that burst right at that Magos Heretic.
Faith without deed.
Well, he's hurting. Cassia gets a turn after someone uses a heroic act. So, if we look at Cassia quickly, that's because she has gotten, among other things, in the hero's footstep. Because, you know, more turns are good. I love more turns. Master Tactician immediately gets an extra turn and 1 AP with full MP the first time any of their allies uses a heroic act in combat. So of course, Cassia can use this to maybe get the buff down on her, or she could kill the heretic before it gets to take a turn, but I think the buff is a safer
Isn't this
opener.
a job for the serfs?
126 willpower. Excellent. Then Perun has another turn.
Nothing
which will
I
give Argenta.
can't do.
With move. Because she now gets a free attack every turn. We want versatility, we can go like that. Or if we're happy with the level of versatility we've got, we can put down the burst fire on the Magos, which I think is what we're going to do. Just to turn him into chunky salsa.
I'll do it.
And then Perun
Not
can
a
take one shot.
problem for me.
I'm helping. And then Jay, I'm pretty sure
You've
if we
got
get
a
Argenta
problem?
a turn, we're done.
I've got a price.
Just to make this extra
Doubt is
egregious,
for the weak.
we'll rapid.
I'll do it.
Alright. Not the best first contact with the world's inhabitants. Indeed. And again, apologies for the harsh cut, but that's probably we're going to leave it for this episode, just because there's a couple of things right around the corner that probably deserve to stand alone. Suffice to say, if one thing is already clear, it's that somehow the quality of the management on Kiava Gamma has managed to do an even worse job than the governor on Janus. So I imagine the odds of Argenta adjudicating further impeachment proceedings against someone else appointed by Theodora is a very likely outcome for next episode. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.